Okay, I think we're good to go. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to our EYFS presentation this evening. I'd like to start by saying I'm really sorry that we're not meeting in person. Normally, this is one of those lovely events where we'd have you all in our hall and it'd be an opportunity to meet all of the teachers and the staff and to do things a little bit more personally. So I'm really sorry we can't do that tonight, but thank you to so many of you for joining us this evening, and I hope you'll find it really useful. I've got lots of staff that I'm going to introduce you to in a minute, and we're going to tell you all about the exciting things that are to come for your children, not just this term, but also when we get started properly in September. So we will get started. So if I click onto our first slide, so just some introductions for you. So my name's Chris Jackson. So for any of you new to Avonwood, I'm a very proud head teacher of this school. As you'll come to find, I'm very biased as well. I think Avonwood's a wonderful place to be. So I really look forward to getting to know all of you and your children over the coming years. I'm also joined by one of our deputy head teachers this evening. I've got Mrs. Williams online there. If you're able to see her, she's giving you a wave at the moment. So she's our deputy head that oversees safeguarding, but she's also an early years specialist. So she's very much involved with the foundation team, years 1 and year 2. We've got Mr. Jackson Taylor, who's my other deputy, who you'll meet in time, and his responsibilities are very much around Key Stage 2. We've got our assistant head and Senko, Miss Sloan. Give us a wave, Miss Sloan. There she is. So she's our assistant head of the Senko and also an early years teacher as well. We've got Mrs. Jones, who's my associate assistant head. And then we've got Miss Wyatt, who's on the call as well. Miss Wyatt, give us a wave. She's our EYFS guru with everything. So she'll be talking to you later this evening as well. So that's a little bit about the kind of the senior leadership team. In terms of the classes, so you'll be finding out very soon which class your child is. Some of you may know already. Miss Wyatt, have classes gone out yet? I can't remember. Not yet. Okay, so in the very near future, you will find out those classes. So our 2 classes we've got for September are Hedgehogs and Badgers. So this is our Hedgehogs team. So you've got Miss Wyatt as the year lead. You've got the wonderful Mrs. Ratchew, who's worked in foundation for many years. This year, she's been working with us as our ELSA, so emotional literacy support person. She's still going to be doing a little bit of that, but predominantly she's going to be based with Hedgehogs. And then she's joined by the awesome Mrs. Dennett. So we're going to have 2 teaching assistants in that class. And then we've got our Badgers team. So Miss Williams, who I introduced to you a moment ago as our deputy head teacher, will be class sharing with Miss Pipe next year. Miss Pipe's on the call as well. Give us a wave, Miss Pipe. There she is. And then they're joined by Miss Hayes, whose title is a teaching assistant, but it's not really a fair title. Miss Hayes is a qualified teacher, and really you're gaining an extra teacher in the class there with Badgers as well. So that's your teaching staff teams for next year. And I know I speak on their behalf. They are really looking forward to meeting all of your children, some of which they've already met through various nursery visits that have been happening over the last few weeks. So just to put a bit of a caveat on this evening's presentation, really, we've planned this around what we think is going to happen in September, and we're pretty confident that the plans that we've put together here are going to happen for September. However, as we found on Monday, there is still room for manoeuvre, really, COVID-wise. Even things like our teddy bear club that we're going to be talking to you about for later this term, it isn't 100%. So we're going to talk to you about what we think is going to happen. Unless you hear otherwise from us, please just assume that the content in the presentation we're delivering tonight is what's going to take place. I know we're joined by several existing parents at Avonwood tonight, and hopefully they'd be able to tell you, if you were to talk to them, that actually during the pandemic, I'm really proud of what we've been able to achieve here at Avonwood. We've been offering live lessons throughout this academic year, so even children in our current foundation team have been able to dial in and have teaching lessons over Teams where their teachers have done things like phonics with them on a daily basis. So I think it's unlikely that in September we'll find ourselves in a situation where we're needing to close, but should it happen, you're in really safe hands here at Avonwood. And it also means that if you're in a family where a family member has symptoms and needs to isolate, we're able to make it so that that child is still able to participate in some of those lessons during the day through those video lessons with their teachers. We'll tell you more about that in September, but I just wanted to give you that as a heads up, really. The environment here at Avonwood, I think, is very safe. For those of you that have been able to tour the school before, we are really lucky. This is a £7 million purpose-built school. Every classroom's got its own set of bespoke toilets. We've got our own separate entrances in and out of the classroom. So should we end up in a situation where things ramp up again with the pandemic, it's a really safe environment to keep your child within that bubble of 30 children. And I have to say the children that we've got at Avonwood have been so resilient and remarkable during the pandemic. So should we find ourselves in a situation where we need to maintain bubbles again, we're really confident that we can still make it a very successful environment for your child. And that's actually been recognised, and I mentioned that on the slide here. So we've been highlighted by the Department for Education. We've had visitors down here from quite senior up within the government, and we've led nationally on live teaching and virtual schools, and we've inputted through to the Oak Academy. So what we do here at Avonwood in that situation is a really strong package. But no more of that, let's talk about other things. So I'd like to pass over now to Miss Wyatt. So she's our foundation lead, and she's going to talk you through a little bit about her plans for September. Over to you, Miss Wyatt.
Thank you. Is my sound working, first of all? Great. Okay, so hi everybody, I'm Miss Wyatt and I'm the foundation stage lead here at Avonwood. I'm just going to start off by talking a little bit about the EYFS curriculum. And so firstly, I will begin by talking a bit about our aims here at Avonwood, what we hope for your child beginning in foundation with us. So firstly, you can see I've put some bullet points on there of what we hope for your child. So I'm not going to read through them all, but I will pull out some key points there. So firstly, we want your child to feel happy and safe about coming to school and developing that love for coming to Avonwood Primary School. We want to ensure that they develop confidence within themselves to not only make new friendships and approaching those adults that are going to be in their classes and the new environment with them, but to also have that confidence in themselves to have a go at trying new activities, taking risks and having a go at problem solving. We also want to develop your child's vocabulary and communication to allow them to express themselves, their opinions, to be able to communicate with their peers and their adults about their wants and their needs, and about any ideas that they have as well. So we really want them to develop that confidence within themselves and how to express themselves. And then finally, and most importantly, we just want your child to feel valued here at Avonwood, just to try their best in everything that they do, and to also be proud of themselves and ultimately just be a happy individual here. Next slide, please, Mr. Jackson. So in terms of the framework and the curriculum, we actually have a new curriculum that is coming into place in September that the government has produced. So that is due to start this September. So when your child comes in, the framework that they are currently working on in their nursery, it is changing slightly. All of the areas are remaining the same that you can see there on the screen. They are all the same. It's just some of those early learning goals. So what they're expected to do by the end of foundation before they transition up into year one. Some of those expectations are changing. When you receive your welcome pack over the next few weeks or so, there is a page in that document that explains a little bit more about that and the changes that are being made. So I do encourage you to please take a look at that page, and you'll also be able to obviously access that on the government website as well for further information. But I'm just going to briefly go through these 7 key areas that we cover down in foundation. So we have 17 strands of learning, but that's split down into 7 key areas. So firstly, we have 3 prime areas. All of these main areas have remained the same. So we've got our personal, social and emotional development, their physical development and their communication and language skills. And these 3 areas are really essential to underpinning everything, and also for them to then progress onto the specific areas of learning as well. So it really underpins all of their learning. So we want them to be confident in those prime areas. And these 3 areas will be a big focus for us when they begin in September as well. So we will really work on those PSED skills, so making friends, making sure that they feel settled within their class, working on those physical skills, so their fine motor skills to help them be able to write, and also working on those gross motor skills as well. So they need those gross motor skills in order to be able to then progress onto the fine motor skills and manipulate things. And then obviously a really big area will be our communication and language as well, that we will focus on too. So those are our 3 prime areas, and then we have the 4 specific areas as well. These 4 areas are literacy, mathematics, understanding the world and expressive arts. And this is where the children are taught the knowledge and the understanding that they need to learn about. And so the understanding of the world, that links really closely with some of those national curriculum subjects that they will begin to be introduced to when they progress up into the Key Stage 1, so year 1 and 2. So there's 3 strands within that area, and they link to the history, the geography, and the science side of things as well. We are also really lucky here at Avonwood to have a fabulous, lovely big space outside as well, which the children have access to throughout the day. So we have a little bit of like a free flow that we do. So they will be able to go indoors and outdoors, having a nice mixture there with their learning. So the mornings, they are more structured. So that's when we will be teaching our phonics and our literacy and our maths inputs, and then they go off into what we call Let's Learn, and they have a Let's Learn board that they're able to choose activities from. And then in the afternoon is when we do more of our free play, so the child initiated play, so children are leading their own learning. And then we also teach through a topic. But as well as that, we try to thread through the children's interests as well, and that particularly comes through in our continuous provision. So we also plan for what the children enjoy and enjoy playing with. And then just one final thing to note is you would have had a letter with some forms within there. There would have been a letter about a platform that we use down in Foundation called Evidence Me. And this is where we will record and take photographs of key milestones that your child has achieved. And these will be shared with you so that you will have a copy of that. And we will send that to you several times throughout the year so that you're constantly being updated about your child's development. But not only will we be adding to that, we would also ask that you could add to any milestones or anything that they're particularly proud of that they've achieved at home as well. So having your input too. Next slide, please, Mr. Jackson. And then finally, I'm just going to talk a little bit about why play is so important down here in the EYFS. So a lot of learning that takes place down in Foundation is through play. And this is so that your child learns through a practical, hands-on way and gaining those experiences. It means that your child is actively and physically involved in their learning as well. So it might be things like using physical manipulatives in maths, or developing their language through role play or small world play or puppets, or it might be being outside, developing those gross motor skills with a large scale construction or on the bikes or making obstacle courses. So we just feel that that's a really important part of the way that the children learn is through the play side of things. Not only that, but it also encourages your child to take risks and make mistakes, and to learn that actually making mistakes is okay, and that's one of the best ways that we learn is from our mistakes. It's a great way for your child to develop relationships with their peers and learn to collaborate with one another, to listen to one another, to take turns, and they can also develop their creativity and imagination as well through play. And then just finally, when we are doing our continuous provision in the afternoon, our child-initiated play, the adults are always there to support and help to extend that learning that the children are carrying out. Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Okay. Over to you, Mrs. Williams.
Yeah, my turn now. So good evening and welcome to everyone to Avonwood. Like Mr. Jackson said, we're looking forward to hopefully meeting you all in person very soon. So this evening, I'm going to talk a little bit about the settling in sessions and our transition for your children coming to Avonwood. Miss White and myself, Mr. Jackson and Miss Sloan, actually, we've all been out visiting children at their preschool settings or their nurseries, or we've been giving all of the settings a phone call so that we have lots of information about your children already, the things that they're interested in, their friendships, and all of these meetings that we've had with preschool have helped us to make their classes. So Miss White and myself have been really busy, and we have been putting children into Badgers class or to the Hedgehogs class. So you will find that out very soon when you receive your packs, which will be coming out in the post to you. So like Mr. Jackson said, as long as everything goes to plan, we have said in the information that you will receive that we will have our first transition session called a Teddy Bear Club. Now, if you're already familiar with Avonwood Primary School and you have children attending already, you will know that the children can come to this session for, it's an hour and 15 minutes. They can wear their own clothes to come to this session, and they bring a special bear or a soft toy that they would like to bring with them to show them their new school and to make it all exciting. So we've planned for Wednesday the 30th of June. If you don't hear anything different from us, then that date will still go ahead, and we will be out on the main gates of the entrance of the school to greet you and show you the way down through the playground to come and meet your class teachers. You'll meet your teaching assistants, and the children will meet the other friends that are going to be in their class, so they will know who else is going to be in Badgers and who else is going to be Hedgehogs. And that's a little time for you for an hour and 15 minutes to just say goodbye and leave them with us and go and have a little coffee somewhere and then come back and pick them up. So we always feel that is a really important session before September, so fingers crossed that that can still go ahead. Then in September, what we tend to do is the first week where the school reopens, we have a staggered start for the foundation children, which we think is really important. So on Wednesday the 8th, Thursday the 9th, or Friday the 10th, we will have 10 children each day. So we have 10, 10 and 10. So it makes a much smaller group for us as teachers and teaching assistants to be able to settle the children. So on those sessions, they are going to run from 9 o'clock to 11:30, and they will be able to not bring their teddy bears on that session. So they will come in their school uniform. They will have 10 people from their class that they'll make little friends with, and it gives us a chance to settle them in, show them routines, where's their peg. We give them a little tour of the school. We show them where the hall is, where they're going to eat their lunch. So it's a really nice session for us to get to know the children and for them to get to know us as well. So they're really important, but you only come to one of them. And then it says so that afterwards, what we normally do is have a 10-minute parent meeting in the afternoon where they go home at 11:30, and then from 12:30 onwards, we see each parent with their child. They can come back to school and to have a 10 minutes, like a parent's consultation, so that you can talk to us about your child. You can ask us any questions, any worries or any concerns that we can help you with. Now, if with COVID that changes, then we will make those into phone calls, but we're hoping that they will still be face to face. All of these dates and times will be in your pack that you are going to receive from us very shortly. And then on week 2, so our transition takes 2 weeks. So on week 2, you have some dates there to show you that Monday the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, we have 2 sessions. So on the Monday and the Tuesday, they will come from 8:50 to 12 o'clock, and then they go home for their lunch. On the Wednesday, they can stay to 1:30, and on the Thursday, they can stay to 1:30, and they stay for lunch. And then on the Friday, they stay all day. So we have them all day. So initially, we would hope that all children would try our hot dinners. Our hot dinners are free, and we're really lucky. We've got a lovely catering team that provide our hot meals for our children, and they do cater for dietary requirements. So that will be in your pack as well. So you just have to register online, and you have to order your hot dinners in advance. But obviously, for foundation children up to year 2, they are provided by the government. So we do recommend that if you can. If you've got any specific needs where you think your child really would not want to have hot dinners, then you can talk to us about that in the sessions in September. And we have a very small minority of children that do bring packed lunches. Next slide, please. So my next slide is to talk about my roles really. So like Mr. Jackson said, I'm deputy head. which is 3 days a week, and then 2 days a week I'm going to be in the Badgers class teaching your children. So my other roles include attendance, behaviour, and safeguarding and well-being. So I work very closely with all of our families at Avonwood. For those of you that already know me, if you've got any concerns or you have any family circumstances or you need any support, then I am the person for you to come to. So I work on safeguarding. Obviously, keeping children safe at school is our key priority, but I also work with a pastoral team as well to support families and to support children that might need any wellbeing support. So we are really lucky at Avonwood. We have got 3 ELSA trained adults. So our TAs have emotional literacy support training. If your child needs any help with their emotions and behaviours, that you can refer them to us, or we can phone you and refer them as well. We also have at Avonwood a counselling service that we use as a charity run counselling services called the Listening Ear through BCP Council. So we do use that service a lot at the moment since the pandemic. We also have 2 TAs that are bereavement trained. So if ever you have any loss or bereavement, we can support children with that in school as well. We have a nurture group, we have a young carers group, and then also next year I'm hoping to start an anxiety group for parents with the workshop as well. We also work really closely with all the other services within the BCP Council. So we have early help intervention for any families that might need support. We obviously work with children's social care, and we work really closely with the police as well. So that's more about the pastoral and the well-being. With regards to attendance, all children are required to attend school full-time by the time that they are the age of 5. In September, I always send out a letter at the beginning of each year talking about our expectations for attendance. The government expectation is a child should be attending school for 96% percentage. Is classed as good attendance. So that's what we really aim for at Avonwood, but we're really lucky. Usually on a daily basis, our attendance is 98% or more. So we're always hitting that threshold, which is fantastic. Obviously, my letter will explain what our attendance policy is. It is on the website as well, but I do run reports regular. I do monitor children's attendance. That's part of my role. So it does talk about in the policy how letters will be sent out if children's attendance does start to drop. That is mainly to let you know that the attendance is dropping, and if you need any support or help with why that might be. Obviously, holiday requests cannot be approved unless there are exceptional circumstances. So I do look at any requests that come in, and sometimes they can be authorised if they are exceptional, but usually any holiday requests, unfortunately, would be unauthorised attendance. And that does result in penalty noticing, as you're probably aware from the government. So we do have forms in the office if there is something that you need to pick up a form to fill out for any term time requests. Next slide, please. So another part of my role is uniform at Avonwood. So unfortunately, you can't see our mannequins that are in the front office at the moment, but the boys' uniform is navy blue trousers. They can have short trousers for the summer term. We have white polo shirts, as you can see in the picture, and we have navy blue jumper with our Avonwood logo. All of our stock for our items that have logos on are from Stevenson's at Southbourne. So I do know that they're already taking appointments for the summer holidays. If you'd like an appointment to go to the shop, you do need to go on their website and book yourself in for an appointment for that. Or if you think you already know your sizing, you can shop online. So they do have an online service that you can use as well. With girls, they can have navy blue skirt or the pinafore dresses, or they can have trousers. And then, as you can see in the photograph, there is a navy blue ginning dress for the summer term as well. They have white polo tops as well, and they can have the jumper or the cardigan with the Avonwood logo. Again, those are all purchased from Stevenson's. The black shoes is preferable, so we do have black shoes with Velcro, unless your child can tie shoelaces, which most foundation children can't. They don't usually have shoelaces until they get to Key Stage 2, so most shoes would have the Velcro. Next slide, please. And then part of the uniform is this year for PE kit, we have actually been reviewing our PE uniform. Because of the pandemic, children have been coming to school dressed ready for PE on their PE days. So you will find out in the September, your child will have 2 days that are PE days. And we've actually found this really beneficial, that they are coming to school ready for their PE day. It does save on the dressing and the undressing, which is giving us a lot more time for the actual curriculum and the actual lessons. So we have decided and consulted that the staff, the children and the parents prefer this. And so moving forward for September, we are going to continue having 2 days of coming to school in their PE uniform. So we have decided to smarten it up so that it still looks like they're coming to school in a uniform, and they're going to have logos. So as of September, the PE top with the Avonwood logo from Stevenson's is going to be compulsory, and also is the Avonwood hoodie with the logo is going to be compulsory, so that if they're walking to school that morning, they are representing Avonwood and they are looking as smart as they would be on a uniform day. They can have their own navy blue leggings or joggers for the winter, which you can shop for anywhere. And again, in the summer term, we can have navy blue shorts or skirt for girls, which again, you can shop for anywhere. We ask for black or white ankle socks for PE days, and then they can have white trainers or dark trainers, but we're trying to avoid any sort of bright colour sort of trainers. So dark or white trainers are preferable. And then naming everything is still really important, because once they have those hoodies that all look the same, we do need to have their names on there. And one other item actually that's been key in this very hot weather is there is a navy Avonwood cap as well that you can purchase from Stevenson's for £6. So that has the logo on it as well. And if you can't purchase it from Stevenson's, you can have a plain navy cap. It's been really important in this very hot weather at the moment. So that's our PE uniform. Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Okay, over to Miss Pipe, I believe.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me okay, Mr. Jackson?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I'm just going to talk to you about the playtimes and the lunch times, and then also about coming in the mornings. So the foundation classes, they have their lunch in the hall. And it's a really, really social time where they can chat with their friends. Often some families find that children who maybe have been reluctant to eat some food, they see their friends eating it and they become much more confident with their food. The staff are always there to support and encourage them to make new friends, supporting them with their eating, getting them to have a go if they're not sure on something. If any children aren't eating their lunch, we will always let you know. And it might just be a case of perhaps choosing something different from the menu. So if you don't hear from us about lunchtimes, please always assume they are eating enough. It's only if they're not, we will always tell you on the door. Staff are always first aid trained, so they're always there to help outside of any bumps and trips. And as Mrs. Williams said, all children do receive a free hot school meal until the end of year 2. And you'll be able to book your hot lunches online, and all the information for that will be in the packs that you're going to receive. And there's a whole menu there ready for the start of the new term for you to choose your meals. And then when the children have had their lunch, they go out into our outdoor area for their playtime. And they have an hour. And yeah, it's a really lovely social time. So that's playtimes and lunchtimes. We don't actually have a specific playtime in the morning or the afternoon like other children do in the school and older year groups. And that's because of our Let's Learn and our continuous provision, the children are free flowing inside and outside, and they're just so busy. They just actually don't need that time to have a playtime because they're so busy. And obviously we do lots of our play-based learning anyway. And now moving on to separation and settling in and coming into school in the morning. So we understand that starting school is such a big thing, and it's a big step to start a little one's school journey. And sometimes children can become upset when separating from their grown-ups, physically coming into school. And so that's why we like to use what's called the plaster approach at Avonwood. And this just means saying goodbye to your little one behind the orange line that's outside the classroom door, and just leaving as soon as possible. And we know it can be really hard to leave your child if they're upset. And we do know that, but it's really true that the longer you stay, the more heightened the emotions come, and then it becomes more difficult for everyone. And that's actually why we call it the plaster approach, because it's something difficult, but it needs to be done really quickly. And there's lots of staff here who will settle children really quickly, and will always give you a phone call if your child's not settled coming in. We'll always call you to follow up how they're doing, so you definitely don't need to worry. And also, the children see the classroom as their space, and they're coming in, you know, they're a hedgehog, they're a badger, this is my classroom. And it also encourages independence and children taking responsibility for their belongings. So they're coming in by themselves, and they're, oh yes, I'm finding my peg, I'm responsible for putting my things away, putting my drink in the right place, and getting on with my learning straight away. And it also means that we can take the children aside who are upset and comfort them, and that doesn't have an impact on anyone else. And you'll find that when the children come into school in the mornings, our lovely TAs will be on the door, and they will answer any questions, take any messages, and the class teachers will always be available in the afternoon at home time to catch up with anyone or answer any questions as well. And I think that's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Miss Pipe. Over to the lovely Miss Sloan.
Hi, hopefully you can all hear me.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so we're starting on my slide now. So I just wanted to introduce the acronym there, SENCO, or SEND, because I think we quite often use it as teachers, but then actually sometimes we forget that maybe parents don't understand what it stands for. So SEND just stands for Special Educational Needs and Disabilities, and one of my roles is to coordinate that across the whole school, as well as currently being a foundation teacher, and I also support Mrs. Williams with safeguarding and pastoral support as well. So in terms of special needs in school, we've got
Miss Sloan, we've lost you there. Oh no, it was going so well technology-wise as well. Miss Williams, would you step in and cover that bit for Miss Sloan? Put you on the spot there.
No, that's all right. She might come back in a minute, mightn't she? She might have just frozen. So I think what she was going to talk about is how...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're there.
It put me on hold. It said I was on hold, which I've never had before. Do apologise for that. Thank you, Mrs. Williams, for taking over.
I didn't say anything. Start from the beginning.
So I just wanted to go through a few areas of special needs that we cover here at Avonwood, especially linked in with early years as well. So the main area is probably speech and language. We are really lucky to have a fantastic speech and language therapist called Jill Thornton. She does sometimes join us for these evenings, but she's not here this evening. She works with us, she will be working with us next year for a day and a half. And her primary focus is actually working with foundation children. We know that early intervention is the key when it comes to speech and language or any additional learning needs. So she prioritises the foundation children. It may be that we're already aware that a child is under speech and language therapy, or that it's been requested by nursery, or even requested by yourselves as parents. Or the child might start in school and then we realise, oh, actually, we're a little bit concerned about their speech. We'll speak to parents and then we can make a referral to Jill. Not many schools have this provision, so we're very lucky to have it. And she works very closely with myself and the NHS speech and language therapists. So like I say, some of the children might already be under NHS speech and language therapy. If they are, then I would already probably have been made aware of that from the nurseries. Miss Wyatt and I have been handing over with the nurseries of any children that have already been identified to have an additional learning need. And I've been lucky as well to go out to some of the nurseries to go and visit those children, which has been lovely. But if you've got any concerns as well, you can also flag it up to us and we can put in a referral to get that early intervention started as soon as possible. So that's speech and language. I also do, just like Mrs. Williams said, work with a lot of different other agencies as well, some of them including the educational psychologists, occupational therapists, physiotherapists, like I've already said, the NHS speech and language therapist, vision support. There's lots of different professionals that I work alongside to help support all the children here at Avonwood. So again, if you've got any concerns, you would just raise that with your class teacher or with myself. Another important area is self-care for the children. It's really important, it's already been mentioned in the previous slides, that we encourage independence with the children as early as possible, really, for when they're transitioning into big school. So that is encouraging your child to maybe start taking responsibility for trying to do up their own coat, putting on their own shoes, getting themselves dressed at home. You could lay out their clothes on the bed and explain to them which order to put them on. But it's really important to try and get your child to be as independent as possible before coming into school, especially with the shoes. And another area that we find really beneficial and almost essential is that all children are toilet trained when they come into foundation year. In nursery, obviously, it's a lot different because they're smaller groups, they've got a lot more key workers. In foundation, we do have big classes of 30, and I think it's really important for the children to be able to take responsibility for their own self-care and toileting. We obviously know that there are some exceptions with children maybe who have an EHCP or medical needs. There will always be those exceptions, but if not, toileting would be a brilliant thing to be working on and making sure that your child is as independent as possible before they start with us in September. If you do have any concerns around additional learning needs, then you can always get in touch with me. My email is on the screen there. It's also on the website. If you do want to find out any more about special educational needs as well, we've got an information report on the website. In fact, there's a whole section on SEND on the website. So please do have a read of that. It's got loads of information and contact details on there. If there are any concerns, then you just get in touch with me. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. So the next slide is talking about illness and accident. So this is another one of my hats that I wear at school, is overseeing first aid. Of course, in school, when the children are taking risks, they're outside, they're playing, they're running around. The children in foundation love to be energetic, so there's always going to be minor bumps, cuts and scrapes. We're really lucky as well to have pretty much all of our staff are first aid trained. So it used to be just TAs and the odd teacher, but now everyone has pretty much been first aid trained, which is excellent. And that is updated either annually or some of them are maybe every couple of years. So that's always kept up to date. So if a child is poorly in school, we will always call you. It may well be the office or the class teacher or the TA that will give you a call and just say that your child's not been feeling very well, or maybe they've been sick and they need to be collected, or we'll ask for your advice. Maybe you might want to pop down and see them. In terms of accidents in school, if it's a minor injury, then we don't give you a call, but you will always be notified at the end of the day. We've got quite a thorough first aid procedures in place. So we document everything. We then fill in first aid forms, which we'll hand to you at the end of the day. If it's a little bit more serious, then we will give you a call throughout the day and notify you, and you're more than welcome to come down and see your child if you feel that that's necessary. The same with head bumps. We'll again notify you at the end of the day, but if it's a more serious head bump, we will call you during the day as well. And it's important for us to be notifying you just in case of any possibility of maybe delayed concussion, and it's just to make you aware to keep an eye on your child throughout the evening and throughout the night. Another part of our school role in safeguarding is that we do have a legal responsibility to investigate any causes behind maybe an injury that a child may come into school with. So if a child comes into school with a bruise or a cut or an injury that seems a little bit of a strange area, then it is our responsibility to just query that and find out exactly what happened. So that is part of our safeguarding role. In your packs, there will be a form titled New Student Form. This is essential that you fill this in, that needs to be completed thoroughly and returned to school. It's really important for us to keep our emergency contact details up to date, and we do need to have at least 2 emergency contact details on our system at all times. In case we can't get hold of the first contact, then we need to have a second contact to call. And I think that is it for first aid and illness. And I think, sorry, another one actually, Mr. Jackson, I'll just say as well, medicines. If your child has a medical need, for example, maybe an allergy or an EpiPen, again, Miss Wyatt's really good at speaking to the nurseries and finding out about medical needs beforehand, but we've got a thorough system in place where we keep the medication locked away. We have a medical form that's signed by yourselves, and we know exactly how much medication to administer. And all of our staff are trained in epilepsy and EpiPen training as well. Thank you very much. Okay, so what can you do at home over the summer holidays or from now before your child starts with us in September? One of our biggest things is communication and language, and speech and language comes into that. So talking lots at home with your children. I think technology, especially this last year, has sort of almost taken over our lives. So I think we need to go back to basics and be having those dinner table conversations. Any talking that you can do with your children, asking them what they're playing with, encouraging them to speak in full sentence will be really beneficial for them starting school. Of course, reading. We always have a massive love for reading here at Avonwood. Again, we're very lucky to be really well stocked with some wonderful books. So any opportunities that you could go to the library or sharing stories with your child at home, bedtime stories, just to encourage that love of reading. Playing games as well, games such as I Spy, that helps the children to identify initial sounds and words, learning new words and identifying things in the environment around them. That's a great little game again for communication and language, but also reading. Other things that you can do is to help, like I've already said, building some independence as well, practicing cutting up their own food, making sure that they're able to go to the toilet by themselves, getting themselves dressed, maybe helping you around the house, doing some little jobs, tidying up. They're very good at tidying up when they come into school, and a lot of the parents say, oh, I wish they'd do that at home. So encouraging them to help tidy up is a brilliant one. In terms of maybe getting the children started with counting and writing, it's never too early. I think it'll be really beneficial to maybe start encouraging them to maybe write down things that they're interested in, birthday lists, birthday cards, shopping lists, writing their name. I mean, if your child can start writing their name and practicing that before coming to school, that's a huge benefit. And also numbers, any opportunities that you see in the environment, maybe bus numbers or house numbers on the doors, seeing if they can read the numbers, that's really beneficial as well. And another one that links in actually with my role as SEND is the fine motor skills and gross motor skills. So some children are a little bit delayed in this, which is absolutely fine, but it'll be really helpful again to maybe get them practicing with any scissor control, threading pasta, like making pasta necklaces or bracelets, using tweezers to pick up objects. We do a lot of this in school, but it's good fun for them at home and they love it. Finger painting, and then gross motor skills, which is moving more of your body, using your arms and your legs, things like throwing and catching and running, jumping, climbing. All those things will just give your child a great start for starting with us in September.
Thank you, Miss Sloan. So the next slide is an obvious slide, but it's a really important one. So particularly through the pandemic this year, I think it's highlighted how important that relationship is between teachers, parents and the child. So I know I'm probably preaching to the converted really, but at Avonwood we've got a really strong team ethos at this school, and I think it's something really important and something I want to continue to nurture. So just going forward really, if you ever have any concerns or worries, we really encourage that kind of open door philosophy at all levels within the school. So whether that's needing to speak to me or one of the senior leadership team, or needing to have that conversation with a teacher or a teaching assistant on the door in the morning, we try to make it so it's a school where we're really accessible with you. There's even email addresses where you can drop in emails through to us as well. So any concerns, please do speak with us. And then as we progress really through the next 7 years of that journey through Avonwood, just keeping that tight unit of working together really. So when there are tricky times, that we can work through those together, but also celebrating the good times together too. So that concept of being a team is something that's really important, and a bit of a thread that you'll see that runs through life here at Avonwood Primary School. So that brings us to the end of the main content that we're talking about this evening. As I mentioned, the word just now, team. We think of ourselves as Team Avonwood, really. It's been an amazing opportunity to grow a brand new school. We're 7 years in now. It's a blossoming little community. And for those new families that join us this evening, I just want to give you a really warm welcome, really, to our Avonwood family. I said I was biased at the start of our presentation this evening, but I do think it's a wonderful place to live and to learn. So a warm welcome from me, really. And we really look forward to bringing you into that Team Avonwood ethos from now. We try and be really open in terms of communication as well. I'm conscious that lots of you at nurseries at the moment will have access to websites that might be showing you almost minute by minute different things the children are doing during the day. That does change a little bit when you get to primary school, but I think it's really important that you have a flavour of what goes on each day. So we do that in a variety of different ways. We're quite into Twitter at Avonwood, so there's various different Twitter feeds. 2 of them are on the screen there, where we'll literally be taking snaps during the day and telling you about different things that are going on. There's a weekly sway, which is a website that is created by Miss Wyatt and the team, where we put some information about what the children have learned this week, what they'll be learning about next week. There might be some little bits for homework, particular sounds that they're learning in phonics, for example. And it's just a really good way to get a little eye-opener into what's going on in school on a weekly basis. I'm really proud of our website. I'm sure lots of you have had a look at this already, but if you go onto there and you click on the curriculum button, you can go to early years and you can pretty much see what the children will be learning subject by subject through the year. So there's lots of detail there for you to keep an eye on too. And I send home a weekly newsletter once a week as well that has a little bit of an overview from me with any key messages. And then staff will also input to that with different bits and pieces that are going on as well. So that information's there. We'll also put you in touch in September with our PTA team. I've got a fantastic parent-teacher association here at Avonwood, and they're remarkable at coming up with different ways, not just to put us together as a community, which I think is incredibly important, but also at finding little ways to help fundraise for different things that we might want to do at school as well. So if you have any time to be able to invest into the PTA team, I'd encourage you to do that. But also there's lots of little events that will happen through the course of the year that you'll be able to participate in as well. So that brings us to the end of the main bit of our presentation tonight. I'm sure lots of you have got questions. If your question pertains just to your child, what I'd ask you to do would be to use one of those email addresses on the screen to touch base with us, and then one of the team will contact you directly to have that conversation about your child. But if you've got any questions that you feel are relevant to everybody, and I'm sure there's some of those, and this is that opportunity where there's no such thing as a silly question. If you'd like to use the raise a hand feature, which should be just at the top of your screen, we'll try and come round to each of you and respond to those questions. So I can see a few hands up there. Annie, I think you were first in.
Hi, thanks.
Hi there.
That's really useful. I just wondered, it's an easy question. Is it going to be 2 PE days for foundation?
Yes, that will be the plan. So in theory, they have 3 days a week they'll be coming in their normal school uniform, and 2 days a week they'll be in their PE kit. So that'll be the plan for September.
Okay, yes, trying to get organised with the uniform. Thank you.
No problem at all. Apologies if I use first names and things too. It's just the way the names are showing up on the Teams link here. So I've got Hannah next on my list.
Hi, so I wondered if you take into account if the children know other children that are joining. So if they've got a friend at nursery that they know, would you put them in the same class? Do you take that into account?
Yes, we do, Hannah. We go out and visit the nurseries, or like Miss Wyatt says, we put a phone call through to them. And one of the questions we ask them is if we can see there are other children from that nursery that are coming to the school, we look at which mixes might be best. If there's a large number of children from one nursery, so let's say we've got 7 children coming from one nursery, we may well split some of them into the 2 different classes, but we work with the nursery staff there to try and get that split right. Miss Wyatt, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I agree with all of that you've said. We do ask about friendships and make sure that they have got at least 1 or 2 friends with them so that they won't be on their own. So so please don't worry. We do take that into consideration.
It's also worth saying that in non-COVID times, which hopefully are coming soon, the classroom setup at Avonwood is amazing for the year group to operate as a year group. So between Miss White and Miss Pipe's classrooms, there's actually an interlinking door, which in normal times would be wide open. And then out where they've got their outdoor learning space is very much a shared area. So although they might officially be a badger or a hedgehog, we do think about them as a year group. And I'm really hoping that as of September, we'll be looking at a 60 rather than a 30 style of interaction for the children on a daily basis. Does that answer that one, Hannah?
It does, thanks.
No problem at all. Neil, I can see you've got your hand up next.
Hello, apologies, may have missed this.
Hi, Neil.
Hello there. We're just looking to plan ahead for September. We obviously work shifts. Any idea as to when we sort of get informed about that week one is exactly what day we're going to be working, so what day they're going to be coming in, so we can plan our sort of shifts?
Yeah, definitely. Mrs. Williams, am I right saying that in that packet will detail that?
Yes, that's right. So when the pack comes out to you, which is coming out shortly, it will tell you if you've got the Wednesday or the Thursday or the Friday as your slot. And then as of the week beginning the 13th, all 30 children are following that timetable that I put on the screen.
Brilliant.
So it is only those 2 weeks really where they're transitioning in, and then after that they're all full time.
So the plan, Neil, is that next week this transition booklet will come home to you. It's got lots of different things in there, but amongst it, there's a covering letter that lets you know which class your child will be in, and it will confirm those timings for you as well.
Yeah, very much appreciated. Thank you.
No problem at all. Danielle, Miss Baxter.
Hi, Mr. Jackson.
Hi.
Just a quick one. From one of your slides, when it came to the uniform, there was no mention of book bag from what I saw.
Oh, good spot.
Yeah, I know that a few people, including myself, are a bit eager to get the uniform. So is it still going to be book bags?
Yes, very much so. That's a really good question, Danielle. So every child in Foundation does need one of those book bags. They're for sale in Stevenson's. When you go into Stevenson's, there's a whole variety of different things that you can pick from in there uniform wise that aren't compulsory. That includes there's a small kind of infant rucksack that's quite useful for normally when the children were bringing PE kit into school to change into. That was quite a useful addition. At the moment, it's less useful, but if your child is doing after school clubs where they want to bring some extra bits into school, you might find that that's a useful accessory to have. But it doesn't replace the book bag. The book bag's the important one because it's just so easy for the teachers to flick the bag open, pop the books and any letters in and send it home. So that's the necessity one. Good question, Miss Baxter. Okay, I can't see any other hands up there. Oh, we've got one more. There we go. Kieran.
Sorry, it's Max actually. It's my husband, Kieran. I have a question about for this early years. Do you do any? Are there any pre or after school clubs or holiday clubs or any sports groups and any activities? Extra other than lessons.
Great question. There are a whole world of different clubs that you can get involved in. Again, the pandemic had limited it a little bit this year, but we're really pleased that we've got quite a few of them up and running again. So if you're a working family and you require wraparound care, so that means that if you need to drop off a little bit earlier in the morning, we've got a breakfast club that starts at 7:30. That's currently run by an organisation called Energy Kids. And then they also run an after school club that runs until 6 o'clock in the evening as well. They're both paid for clubs, but they're very useful for those working families that need that sort of extra bit of flexibility. In addition to that, there's a whole variety of different clubs that are normally running things from, we have football clubs, gymnastic clubs, we have a languages club, a mindfulness club, science club, lots of different clubs that you can book into. They are predominantly paid for clubs. The reason that we've decided to do that is that I think it's really important that I work the staff here at Avonwood hard in a really good way. I make sure that while your children are in their care between 9 and 3, they're getting the absolute best provision they can have. But I think to make that possible, they need to then be able to do their planning after school to make sure they're prepared for the next day. So we've actively not encouraged making staff do extra clubs after school. But in lieu of that, we've brought in agencies that are able to deliver those sessions instead. For families that are in receipt of pupil premium, so if your family income is lower than a particular threshold, we can look to support you with that. But predominantly those extra clubs are paid for ones that you can opt in and out of. The range probably increases as the children get older. So for example, in our science lab, the seats and stools are just too high for the little ones in Foundation. So that's not something that's available to foundation age children, but the different clubs do vary as you move up through the school, and there's a section on our website that runs through all the different ones for you to have a look at as well.
Oh, that's great, thank you.
No problem at all. Last call for any questions. Okay, then what we'll do is we'll wrap that up there. If you do have any further questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. On that last slide, you've got my email address, which you're welcome to use at any time. And you've also got our transition email address that comes through to the team as well. I've got no doubt that after the call this evening, there will be other questions that will pop up. So please don't hesitate to get in touch, particularly if there's something that you're worried about. As I said at the beginning of the session this evening, we are planning that everything we've told you this evening is what will go ahead now over the next few months. Should things change, we will get in touch with you via a letter probably to let you know, but we'll find the best route through to let you know that. Fingers crossed, we will be getting to meet all of you at those teddy bear afternoons in a few weeks' time. If there are any families you know that weren't able to join us this evening, where we've recorded it, tomorrow we'll get this up on our website and I will tweet out a link to it. So if there's anything you want to watch back, or if there are any families that you're aware of that haven't been able to see this tonight, please do point them in the direction of that so they can have a look at it. We really are genuinely looking forward to getting to know all of you and your children. This is a really exciting time. This year we had something like well over 200 applications for the 60 places here at Avonwood. And I don't take for granted 1 minute what a huge decision it is deciding which school is the right school for your child. So we feel really honoured that you want to send your children to be with us at Avonwood Primary School. And I'm just excited for the journey that we've got ahead together. So thank you for joining us tonight. And we look forward to seeing you all very soon. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.
Cheers.
No problem.
Once you hang up, they didn't do that properly last time.